The folding room wasn't marked. Tucked behind the chapel and maintenance corridor, it looked like storage. The kind of room recruits passed without glancing. No one gave it orders. No one waited outside. And yet, every morning, before the sun scraped the top of the barracks, the room was already lit. And she was inside. She didn't wear a uniform. Just a navy sweatshirt, pressed jeans, tan gloves tied around the wrists. Her hair was short. Neat. Not military, but close. She folded alone. One flag at a time. Tight triangles, edges exact. Every crease precise, held just long enough to leave memory in the fabric. Most of the younger recruits didn't know who she was. Some assumed she was admin. Others whispered she used to be someone. Logistics, maybe? Support. Retired. They saw the gloves and thought arthritis. They saw the silence and thought shy. They didn't notice how she moved. Not like someone doing a task. Like someone performing a ritual. The first time Carr noticed her, he wasn't looking for anything. Just needed a shortcut after team debrief. He passed the back corridor, boots dragging, head down, and then he saw the light through the open door. She stood alone. One triangle finished, placed gently on the stack. Her hands didn't shake. Carr slowed, just slightly. He watched the motion, tuck, press, fold. No rush. No hesitation. No wasted touch. She didn't see him. Or maybe she did. She didn't speak. Just reached for the next flag. He moved on. Didn't say a word. But as he rounded the chapel wall, something stayed with him, not her face. Not the flags. The stillness. The way the room didn't feel empty, even with only one person inside. She always arrived before reveille. Even on Sundays, even in rain. By the time the base stirred, boots on gravel, chalk hitting steel, the folding room was already lit, and the first flag folded, placed aside with a reverence no one had taught her. It came from somewhere else. From someone else. Carr passed the room again the next day. Not out of habit. Not yet. But something pulled him there. This time the door was only half open. She stood in the same place. Same gloves. Same rhythm. But her shoulders, he noticed it now. Tension between folds. A pause that didn't belong to routine. She wasn't folding just to fold. She was holding something back. He watched the crease of her jaw. Still. Controlled. But there was pressure there, beneath the surface. A flag slipped. Just slightly. Barely a quarter-inch off the seam. She stopped. Didn't move. Didn't curse. Just stared at it for a breath too long. Then she unfolded the entire triangle, pressed it flat again, and started over. Carr stepped forward. You all right? It slipped out before he could second-guess it. She didn't turn. Fine, she said. Quiet. Clipped. He stood awkwardly at the door. Didn't mean to bother. You didn't. She kept folding. But the gloves, he saw it now. One was torn slightly at the seam. The skin beneath looked rough. Pale in a way that didn't belong to softness or age. A scar. Long curved across the palm. Not surgical. Not accidental. Carr opened his mouth, but her voice stopped him. I'm not staff, she said. If that's what you're wondering. He nodded slowly. I wasn't. Silence stretched between them like something hanging from the ceiling. He shifted. I'm Carr, he said. Class 302. She nodded once. That was all. He waited, hoping for a name. It didn't come. He stepped back. Let the door close behind him. Later that day, he heard the others talking. She folds for funerals, one recruit said, mouth full. Civilian, said another. They just let her do it. I think she lost someone. Or thinks she did. Reeves snorted. I heard she was admin got pulled off a ship after her CO cracked. Carr didn't respond. He just looked out the window, jaw tight. Because she hadn't said much? But her hands had told him everything. That evening, the wind shifted. Carr felt it on the back lot, where flags were aired before storage, long cords of ceremonial cotton drying in rows. He was assigned rotation with 3 others. Nothing intense. Just inspect, fold, tag. But the moment he stepped behind the chapel, she was already there. Alone. No orders. No clipboard. Just her hands running the seam of a flag he hadn't touched yet. Reeves saw her too. He smirked. She always just show up? Carr didn't answer. Reeves walked closer. Not aggressive. Just loud enough. You got clearance to be here, ma'am? She didn't turn. Didn't speak. Carr took a step forward. She's done more for those flags than we have. Reeves looked back at him, then down at the fabric in her hands. It's not about flags, he muttered. It's about pretending to matter. That made her stop. She didn't react. Not with a look. Not with anger. Just let the flag slide through her fingers, onto the table. Her gloves stayed still at her sides. Carr stepped beside her, but she didn't move. She was in Kandahar, he said quietly. Reeves blinked. How do you? Carr didn't answer. Instead, he pointed to her glove. Faint letters. Worn thread. Nearly invisible. SD4. It wasn't a manufacturer tag. It was a unit. SEAL Team 4. Reeves squinted. Laughed once, awkwardly. That's not real. But Carr had seen the matching notation, buried in the corner of a flag registry. She didn't claim it. But she didn't deny it either. That night, the folding room light stayed off. She didn't return. Carr waited anyway. He sat outside the chapel wall until the sun rose, thinking about the way she stood when Reeves spoke. Not like someone offended. Like someone who'd heard worse. Much worse. The ceremony was set for 1300 hours. For service members. 2 SEALs. 1 from logistics. 1 from signals. Carr was on flag escort duty. Standard procedure, clean boots, squared angles, folded silence. The chapel had been prepped. Benches wiped down. Speakers tested. Honor detail reviewed twice by the senior chief. At 12:47 hours, the senior quartermaster opened the box. His face went pale. Carr saw it from 20 feet away. What's wrong? He asked, stepping forward. The chief turned the flag in his hands. This isn't folded. Carr blinked. What? It's tagged and logged, but it's not done. He unfolded the cotton slowly, creases half finished, ends loose. The kind of fold that wasn't laziness, but interruption. Carr stepped back, thinking. Then his jaw tightened. Where's the extra? The assistant shook his head. There isn't one. The ceremony clock was running. No backup. No time. Carr turned toward the corridor, and ran. He found her behind the chapel. Not in the folding room. That was still locked. She stood in the back courtyard, beside a small bench under the trees. Alone. Gloves off. Palms exposed. For the first time, Carr saw both scars. One ran from the base of her thumb to her wrist, thin, jagged. The other deeper. Faded into the fold of her palm like it belonged there. She looked up when he approached. They need a flag, he said, breath uneven. The ceremonial one. It wasn't ready. She said nothing. They need it in 10 minutes. Still nothing. Carr stepped forward, lowering his voice. I don't care if you're on staff. I don't care what they logged you as. He held out the unfinished flag. I need you. Her eyes stayed on the fabric. Then, her hands moved. Slow. Careful. Measured. Not trembling, but not steady either. She took the flag. Held it like something living. Carr didn't speak. She looked down at the creases. And for a moment, she didn't fold. She just stared. Her lips parted slightly. Then closed. Then, she moved. Folding. Faster than he'd ever seen. Not rushed. Just exact. As if her body remembered what her voice still refused to say. They made it back with 3 minutes to spare. She didn't walk beside him. She walked behind. When the casket was carried in, Carr turned. And for the first time, the officiating commander looked at her. And didn't look away. The ceremony moved like clockwork. Boots clicked. Flags held. Names read. Carr stood at attention near the aisle, watching everything, except her. She stood in the far corner, behind the seated rows. No uniform. No badge. Just the same navy sweatshirt, sleeves pushed up now. The scar on her left wrist visible in the low sunlight cutting through the stained glass. No one else noticed. Not at first. But when the final name was called, and the folded flag was handed to the widow, the commander paused. He didn't sit. Didn't salute. He turned toward the back of the chapel. His gaze fixed. On her. Silence stretched. Then, quietly, he walked down the aisle. Carr's chest tightened. The entire room stayed frozen. The commander stopped 2 steps from her. Looked at her for a long moment. Then said just loud enough to be heard. You shouldn't have been just a civilian. No applause. No whisper. Just the weight of that one sentence. She looked at him, eyes steady, but something behind them cracked just slightly. And then she nodded once. No words. But Carr saw her hand curl around her wrist, like she was holding something together that had almost slipped. The commander stepped back. Didn't salute. Just turned and returned to his seat. But now the room saw her. Not as an observer. Not as support staff. As someone who'd been there. After the ceremony, Carr waited by the rear lot. He didn't know what to say. Didn't expect to see her again. But she came out the side door, walking slow. Shoulders lower now. Not defeated, just released. Carr stepped forward. I looked it up, he said quietly. Her eyes didn't change. Hollow Bridge, he added. SEAL Team 4. 2 listed as missing. No survivors recorded. Just 1 civilian flag handler assigned. She didn't stop walking. He followed. They never listed your name. Still no reply. He stopped. She was your twin, wasn't she? That made her pause. She turned slowly. Then said barely audible. No. A breath. She was me. And then she walked away. The folding room stayed dark for 3 days. Carr passed by each morning, slower now, hoping to see the door cracked open, the light falling across the table, the quiet rhythm of triangles stacking into silence. But it remained locked. No flags. No gloves. No presents. On the 4th day, the door was unlocked. He opened it slowly. Inside, nothing had changed. Except one thing. At the center of the table lay a cloth bundle, wrapped tightly, pressed flat, held closed by a length of green paracord. Carr stepped in. No note. No explanation. He undid the knot. Inside, one glove. Worn. Finger seams frayed. Still holding the shape of her hand. Next to it, a coin. Old. Brass. One edge singed. The other side bore the emblem, sealed trident. No date. No name. Just an engraving along the rim, nearly faded. If you carry it right. Carr swallowed. Below the coin, a second item, a patch. Faded cloth, tan stitching. He turned it over. Written in faint marker, nearly vanished. Rourke, ST4K07. Kandahar, 2007. He stood there a long time. The silence of the room felt different now. It didn't feel empty. It felt passed on. He looked at the wall, at the spot where she used to stand. Where the sun used to fall across her shoulders. Where she'd start every morning folding not fabric, but memory. That night he didn't sleep. He held the coin in his palm and watched the ceiling shift with light from the hallway. She hadn't told him anything. But she'd given him everything. The folding room stayed open. No one reassigned it. No one claimed it. But things changed. Carr began arriving early, not as early as she had, but close. He folded the first flag of the day without instruction. No ceremony. Just care. He didn't speak while he worked. Didn't hum. Didn't mutter. Just let the room stay quiet, as it had always been. At first, the others didn't notice. But silence makes its own gravity. Ramirez walked past once, saw Carr inside, paused a little longer than necessary. Said nothing. Another morning, Keller lingered by the doorway. Watched Carr fold. Watched his hands line every triangle. "What happened to the woman?" he asked. Carr didn't look up. "She was never supposed to be here that long." Keller nodded. "Didn't ask more?" Then came the morning when one of the instructors stepped inside. Chief Weller. Not the type to visit side rooms. Not the type to slow down. He looked at Carr for a while. Said nothing. Then softly, "She yours?" Carr folded the next crease. "She was all of ours," he said. Weller nodded. Then placed something on the corner of the table, a photo, laminated. SEAL Team 4. 8 figures in dust gear. 7 men. 1 woman off to the side. Helmet in hand. "I was there," Weller said. "Different op, different time." He tapped the photo. "She was better than all of us." He didn't stay long. But after that, no one questioned why Carr had the key. It was a Thursday when the new recruit showed up. Still green around the edges. Uniform stiff, collar too high. He stood outside the folding room holding a clipboard, looking more confused than confident. Carr saw him through the window. He opened the door but didn't speak right away. Let the silence carry a few seconds first, the way she used to. "You're here for flag detail?" The recruit nodded quickly. "Yes, sir. They told me someone here would train me." Carr didn't smile. Just stepped aside and gestured to the table. The recruit entered. Looked around. Fidgeted. "What do I call you, sir?" Carr adjusted a folded flag before answering. "You don't need to call me anything. Just watch." He picked up the next flag, crisp, starched, untouched. He unfolded it carefully. Laid it flat. Edges exact. Then he began. Triangle. Fold. Tuck. Press. The recruit leaned in slightly. Carr didn't speak while folding. But when the last crease came together, he turned the flag slightly, so the recruit could see the base of the triangle. "That's the face," Carr said. "It's the part that stays visible." He paused. "So you make sure it says what it needs to, without ever saying a word?" The recruit nodded slowly. There was something settling about the room now, not heavy, not sad. Just steady. Carr handed the folded flag to him. The recruit accepted it with both hands. Then noticed the framed glove on the wall. "What's that?" he asked. Carr looked over. The glove. The patch. The coin, mounted beneath glass now. The recruit leaned closer, squinting. "Was that hers?" Carr didn't answer right away. He reached forward and touched the glass lightly. "No," he said. Then paused. "She never wanted it to be." The recruit looked at him, puzzled. Carr simply turned back to the table and reached for the next flag. "We just keep folding." The chapel bell rang in the distance. Carr pressed the new triangle into place. Then stood still for a moment. Just breathing. Just remembering. And in the quiet, something settled. Not closure. But continuity. Some people leave orders. Others leave echoes. She left silence. And the ones who understood kept folding.